So let's read Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, chapter number 3, and text number 5. Is that correct? So here we are. Yes. Okay, so Yadishu bhavo loke Shashtaro dandadarinaha Kasyasya tyam navakasya Mrityu shamritam evava Yadishu bhavo loke Shashtaro dandadarinaha Kasyasya tyam navakasya Mrityus chamritam evava Yadishu bhavo loke Shashtaro dandadarinaha Kasyasya tam navakasya Mrityu shamritam evava. Devotees? Dishu bhavaloke Shashtaro dandadarinaha Satyam navakasya Mrityus chamritam evava Yadishu bhavoloke Shashtaro dandadarinaha Kasyasyatam navakasya Mrityus chamritam evava Yadishu bhavoloke Shashtaro dandadarinaha Kasyasyatam navakasya Mrityus shamritam evacha evava Yadishu bhavoloke Shashtaro dandadarinaha Kasyasatyam navakasya Mrityus shamritam evava. Prabhupada said if we repeat it, the verse 10 times, we'll memorize it. We've done 6 so far, we need 4 more. Matajis? Yadishu bhavoloke Shashtaro dandadarinaha Kasyasyatam navakasya Mrityum shamritam evava Yadishu bhavaloke Shashtaro dandadarinaha Kasyasyatam navakasya Mrityus chamritam evava. 2 more. Yadishu bhavoloke Shashtaro dandadarinaha Kasya satyam navakasya mrityuschamritam evavam. One last one. Isya bhavoloke sastaro dandadarinaha satyam navakasya chamritam evava. So now we have fully memorized the verse, correct? Let's make a chat. Prabhupada is saying that if we do repeat the verse 10 times, we will slowly, gradually keep the verse in our minds. So, yadi, if, shyuhu, there are, bahava, many, loke, in this world, shashtara, rulers or controllers, dandadarinaha, who punish the sinful man, kasya, of whom, mrityu, distress or unhappiness, cha, and amritam, happiness, eva, certainly, va, or. So the translation goes like this. Everybody understands English here? Anybody needs translation? Oh. Translation, sorry, this is very high. Translation is going on back there? Okay. Matajis all understand English? You also have translation? Okay, very good. So everybody is connected. Excellent. So the verse says, in this universe, there are many rulers and justices who disagree about punishment and reward. Their contradictory actions will neutralize each other, and no one will be punished or rewarded. Otherwise, if their contradictory acts fails to neutralize each other, everyone will have to be both punished and rewarded. He's got the Hindi mobile. Okay, that's very good. That's very good. So, purport by Srila Prabhupada. Because the Yamadutas had been unsuccessful in carrying out the order of Yamaraj, they doubted whether Yamaraj actually had the power to punish the sinful. Although they had gone to arrest Ajamil, following Yamaraj's order, they found themselves unsuccessful because of the order of some higher authority. Therefore, they were unsure of whether there were many authorities or only one. If there were many authorities who gave different judgments, which could be contradictory, a person might be wrongly punished or wrongly rewarded. Or he might be neither punished nor rewarded. According to our experience in the material world, a person punished in one court may appeal to another. Thus, the same man may be either punished or rewarded according to different judgments. However, in the law of nature or the court of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there cannot be such contradictory judgments. The judges and their judgment must be perfect and free from contradictions. Actually, the position of Jamaraj was very awkward in this case of Ajamil, because the Yamadutas were right in attempting to arrest Ajamil. But the Vishnudutas have baffled them. Although Yamaraj, under the circumstances, was accused by both the Vishnudutas and the Yamadutas, he is perfect in administering justice because he is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he will explain what his real position is and how everyone is controlled by the Supreme Controller, the Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So please repeat with me. In this universe, there are many rulers and justices who disagree about punishment and reward. Their contradictory actions will neutralize each other, and no one will be punished or rewarded. Otherwise, if their contradictory acts fail to neutralize each other, everyone will have to be both punished and rewarded. Sorry, repeating the last part is a little bit. Everyone will have to be both punished and rewarded. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Jnana Timirandasya Janagyanam Shalakaya Chakshur Anmilitanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakaupatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Vatale Shrimati Shri Prabhu Vidhamne Namaste Kripadataya Vrihat Mridanga Saritaya Prema Sindhu Vardayate Hare Krishna. So first of all, I ask also for the permission of my seniors who may be present, so I can speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, even though very unqualified to speak on this topic. We do it as a service to our spiritual master. This part of Srimad Bhagavatam carries a special sweetness. It's a very important part of Srimad Bhagavatam. So far, the Srimad Bhagavatam has been explaining about the creation, about the mechanics of this world. How does it form? Where does it come from? What is the source of this world? What is the primary creation? What is the secondary creation? Where do the ingredients come from? Is there a Supreme Lord or not? Is the Supreme Lord light? Or is he a person? What is the ultimate goal for human life? And here we come to this beautiful part where we're going to talk about Pochana, which is protection. Am I right? What is the name in Pochana? Yes? Protection. And protection is very sweet. Why is protection sweet? May I ask you? It reaches the depth of our hearts. Thank you. That's a very good contribution. By having protection, we can become carefree. You can just become confident that everything will go right. Yes, that gives sweetness to it. Yes, and there's a deep reason why protection is so sweet. Because we were originally protected by Krishna, and He is sweet, therefore protection is sweet. Yes, that's a sweet connection. Protection is very sweet because the person who is protecting does not depend on us. But even so, he is putting himself available for us. Right? And in this chapter, or in this canto, it's been described how the Lord protects His devotees. So you've heard about Ajamil. You've heard about how his parents wanted to protect him. His parents trained him as a perfect Brahman. He was Paka Brahman. In his young age, he was trained in the most perfect system of Archana, of Puja, of Shastra. He was completely present in that teachings. But somehow, in one point, he made a mistake, which in that time was very rare to find. He just found a prostitute and a man enjoying in a solitary place. And by contemplating that, his mind became absorbed to the point where he decided to leave all the protection his mother and father had given him. And here is a very important learning point for us. This decision of Ajamil carries a very important lesson for us. There's a difference between independence and between autonomy. An autonomous disciple, he does what his spiritual master wants without him asking him, but he depends on his spiritual master. An independent disciple does what he wants, when he wants, and doesn't go back to the spiritual master. Therefore, sometimes an independent disciple may go right off the track. But because of that independent nature which comes from time immemorial, that's the reason we are in the material world. Because when Krishna expanded so many multifold thousands, unlimited jivas, 1 out of 10, us, was enamored by the environment and forgot about the person of Krishna. And just by looking how beautiful that place was, we crossed the river, the dangerous river of the material world. And when we were on the other side of the river, we had a chance of Lord Brahma. Every one of us was Lord Brahma. Do you remember when you had 4 heads? Very practical, you could see all directions. But every one of us once was Brahman. A minimum once. That's how we came here. Can you imagine how many kalpas we're here? If everybody in this room once was Lord Brahma, how many kalpas have you been here? Lord Brahma lives for a very long time, trillions of years. And every one of us in this room has been Brahma, not to speak about the whole universe. And then we didn't understand Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we had a second chance as a Prajapati. We still didn't understand Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then we came as Manus. And still we didn't understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then the material nature offered 8,400,000 species of life for us to try. And we've been trying. We have been all forms of life that you may see. In the kirtan, there was a little tic-tac. How do you say this in Hindi? Tic-tac? This little lizard. This tick-tick. He goes, Chipkali. There was a Chipkali in the kirtan. She was running, looking everywhere. We have been that. Do you remember? And this Chipkali was here, in front of the Lord, somehow present where the holy name was being uttered. So this is our present situation. We think we are free to do whatever we want, but we have been just imprisoned in this machine of the material nature, in this huge yantra, which produces this yantra, which is producing the next yantra, just by my actions. Every action bears a reaction. So here, Ajamil, by contemplating that scene, by looking at it, previous desires in his heart woken up. And then he went for it. He said, Jai, Shishi Radha Madan Mohan ki jai, Shishi Gaur Nitai ki jai, Krishna Balaram ji ki jai. So just by contemplating, you see the power of the material nature. Just by contemplating, he became fully absorbed to the point he decided to marry that lady and have 10 children. Now, to have children is a very, very expensive thing. Those of you who are in a different color from me, you're very fortunate. You can run on a very low budget. One mat, a little bag, you're done. When you get married, you need to expand. You need to provide a house. You need to protect your children. You need to protect your wife. So you have to create infrastructure. And to do that, you have to interact with the material world in a deeper level. So just imagine how great is those devotees who take the risk of working outside, having a job, coming to the temple, giving their donations. Just contemplate as brahmacharis. Would you do that? Go right now, take a job, IT job, heavy job, work 10 hours a day, and come to the temple and say, here's a donation, Krishna, for you. That's my service. Would you have that courage now? Maybe, maybe not. So how courageous are these devotees who are out there working full time and giving their donations for Lord Krishna so the preaching may go on. On the other hand, how courageous are the brahmacharis who have given up all of their independence to serve strictly under the order of the spiritual master. How secure and how beautiful is this opportunity that Prabhupada has created for us. Can you imagine how much facility is here? You have classes, you just open your iPhone and you have classes, internet, you can see what your Guru Maharaj is preaching right now, where he is, what he's doing. You have a WhatsApp group where he's posting everything he's doing right now. How much facility. You're sheltered, you're right here in this environment where you have to engage your senses in listening to the holy names, doing your service, doing your duty, and taking the prize. What is the highest reward we take? Developing our character so we become pure devotees of Krishna. That's the opportunity that we are given. And right now in this stage of life, some of you starting brahmachari life, some of you already mature in brahmachari life and already thinking about sannyas and expanding your preaching and expanding your protection to others. Just contemplate how beautiful this opportunity is. And here Ajamil, he was not under this protection. He was independent. So he took his life. What time does class end? 8:40, and then you can take questions. Good, thank you. Okay. So Ajamil took his life without any regulative principles. Actually, I'm not going to discuss this because you have discussed his life in previous chapters. But he had a list of the very, very sinful things. I'm sure if we saw this one person like Ajamil outside the temple, we wouldn't invite them for the temple. You probably say, this guy is hopeless, let him go. Right? But somehow, because of that previous education, that previous training, he named one son Narayana. And that small act saved him. And not only saved him, but put him on the pages of the eternal Srimad Bhagavatam, a book which is read in all planetary systems. He's glorious. He is being compared to Bharata Maharaj. He's being compared to the great yogis who, after so many lives, achieve purification. This very, very fallen person has attained that level. How bewildering, that's very bewildering for our minds. So that's why Shukadeva Goswami accepted this story to narrate one very important point, which is, let's take classes from our Bhakti Shastri students. What is the lesson here in front of us? What is it going to teach us? The power of the holy name. Yes, we have a sharp Bhakti Shastri student present. I better watch out what I say. Yes, the power of the holy name. So he's preparing the grounds to really show the power of the holy names. And how does the story unfold? Here comes the infallible Yamadutas. Nobody escapes. Nobody escapes the Yamadutas. When it's their time, everybody has to move. There's no Modi, there's no the Prince of England, there's no Rockefeller, there's nobody stop them. No Indra, nobody stops them. When they come, they are fully empowered to do their service. And these personalities, they are very ugly. We hear descriptions to actually make the jiva very scared. They have these most incredible tools, sharp, piercing tools, and they have these ropes, and they get the jiva. The jiva is so attached to the material body that the jiva doesn't want to go. And that is the point that Srila Prabhupada mostly emphasized when he went to the West. All of us are under the bodily disease. We think I'm Indian, I'm American, I'm Jewish, I'm this, I'm that. He says, this is all the bodily conception of life. That's why we are here in the material world. So Prabhupada started his preaching with the Siddhanta ultimate. What we have to reach, the position of transcendental identity. Just imagine, how wonderful is the teaching of Srila Prabhupada. He goes to the most degraded country, where everyone firmly believes, I am this body. I'm so much this body that you are not allowed to cross in front of me if it's my turn in the queue. If you do that, I can prosecute you. That's how strong. Everything around this body is my right by law and by nature. No man can take that right. There's a story, someone was sued in America because someone was eating badam, peanuts, and he threw the pills over the window and it fell on the man's head. And he sued that man for many thousands of dollars. Just imagine, I can't tolerate because I fully believe that I am this body and everything around this body is my right. I have all the rights over this body and everything around me. And if you interfere into that holy sacred space, I will go to the justice and I will sue you. This is the American mentality. So Prabhupada went to that space. And in that space, he convinced many young men like you that actually they were mistaken. actually they were not the body. And you'd see a hippie with this very crazy hair, but you'd come to the temple and someone says, "What are you?" And you say, "I'm a servant of Krishna." Who is Krishna? He is God. And by chanting Hare Krishna, you go back to Godhead. In 3 sentences, he defined the ultimate Siddhanta of Srimad Bhagavatam. This was the power of this Parivrajacacharya, which is right next to us. That's what he did. He went to this most fallen place. And then he just revived spiritual culture. And why were hippies there? Have you ever thought about it? Why was hippies over there? Based on Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada speaks about this. Why were the hippies there? Why the hippies came up? Yes. They were not happy, absolutely right. You see? You're right, and many of those hippies say exactly that. And Prabhupada says in a class a very interesting point. He says, Arjuna, the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Krishna, I cannot fight. If I fight, I will destroy the elderly and senior most men. And then there will be degradation of society, and Vana Shankara will come. So there was war, the Second World War. And as a consequence, what happened? There was the hippies. See the connection Prabhupada makes. Arjuna is making the point, Krishna, if I kill my kinsmen, and the strong religious dharmic men fall, who will take care of the women? And who will guide the principles of Dharma? So during war, so many of these men died. And then so many widows were free. And by having unrestricted mixing of men and women, they just got this Varna Sankara. That's the hippies. So he was right there, Prabhupada. And what was his mood? Exactly the mood of this chapter, protection. Prabhupada, he would bring all his devotees and he would give the most beautiful Siddhanta in a very pure and non-judgmental way. Some of these devotees would be making Jagannath Murtis and putting a cigarette on top of Lord Jagannath's head. And Prabhupada says, maybe you can put the cigarette in another place. Just imagine. And by doing this, he brought to India such a great number of Western white elephants. Now you see, at that time, all the Indian men, the rich men of India, were really thinking how we can get to America, how we can get good jobs in America. The Indian government was facilitating master's degree students to go abroad, to take jobs abroad, in America, in Europe, in Brazil, in so many parts. Because the Indian know that a man will leave India, but he'll always come back. So the strategy was, let's send our master's students abroad, let them learn the science, and let them come back to India. So that was the mentality at that time. The Indian aristocracy, middle class, high class was thinking how we can get the American facilities in India. So let's go there. And Prabhupada said, you're going to America, but I'm bringing the Americans here as Krishna Bhaktas. So just pay attention. This is the goal. And by doing that, he convinced so many educated Indian people. Just see how many temples of ISKCON is in India today. That was because of this mentality of protection. And at this point, India has a great responsibility in protection. Because now, you all have on your head a sanction. You have a law given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Do you know what that is? You have an idea, right? You were all born in Bharatvarsha. That means you all have to become gurus. That's the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to all of you. And by becoming gurus, then you can help the whole world. So that was Prabhupada's formula. He brought the white elephants to India. And if we have another class, there's another verse which we can explain why he did that, based on Srimad Bhagavatam. It was not a whimsical choice. He didn't act independently. He acted very much based on Shastra when he did that. And you can see how scientific, how ISKCON has developed in India to such a great degree. So coming back to this point of Ajamil, we are discussing punishment and reward. And the Yamadutas are questioning, if you are not the Supreme, what is the meaning of us giving a punishment? We may recall Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a judge, and he was judging without a single mistake. He would leave his office every day at the same time, no matter what cause was on his table. He would just go at the same time. And why was that? He was fully connected to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Every decision he would consult with Krishna. Therefore, his decision was precise and perfect. And that's what Srila Prabhupada wanted for his temples. Temples of education where every one of you will become empowered as teachers. That was not just something that he said, this would be nice. That is his plan. And it has to happen. Every one of you needs to become an empowered teacher of Bhagavad Dharma. And in this verse, there's a very interesting thing, which is the Yamadutas are correct. Because, they were doing their service, and all of a sudden, they were stopped. And this person is not a simple criminal. He broke so many rules. He stole, he was involved in so many illicit acts, and he's not being punished by the Yamadutas. So what is it that these Yamadutas did wrong? And if they didn't do anything wrong, how come Yamaraj is supreme? So now this section is going to now unfold a very interesting part where the position of the Lord will finally be revealed. But before that happens, there's so many small, beautiful details. You see, the Yamadutas, for a start, they get to hear Yamaraj, who is Dharmaraj himself, speaking on the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's in itself beautiful. The Yamadutas themselves heard the Vishnudutas speaking about the glories of the holy names. And that was the element which actually illuminated Ajamil. And finally, when we talk about law, we have to talk about time. Okay? Because if let's say we had here a small boy of 3 years old, and he just was running around, he took a little stone and he threw at the altar. Would you punish him? Maybe you would don't do that. But let's say a senior brahmachari comes and he takes a stone and throws in the altar. Would you punish him? Why? He has knowledge and he's mature, so the time element, okay? The time element is there. He used the time to get knowledge and to become mature. So you see, the time factor is extremely important for justice. It's not just a blind justice, one justice for all. The time applied correctly generates maturity and knowledge. So that means if we use our time as we should, studying Shastra, trying to please the spiritual master, surrendering to Krishna, then we'll achieve maturity and knowledge. So we leave ashram as a sannyasi, as you may leave as a brahmachari, you just head for sannyasi ashram, with that full baggage, and you're ready to execute the mission. But if you misuse your time, when time comes, you're not ready. You have misused every second of that opportunity. So for justice, the time factor is so important. And the second factor is authority. So he's discussed time, because Ajamil came to this point, and then he got saved, and he gets a little more time to perfect his understanding of Krishna. And the second point is authority. And then the point of authority, if there's another class, I'll bring in a similar example where Lord Brahma is talking to Narada Muni and a similar question is posed. Narada Muni thinks Lord Brahma is the Supreme Creator. But again, he comes to the same point as this. So this we can discuss. Jai Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki, Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai. Okay. So I'll let some time for questions, a little more time for questions. Does anybody have a question that we might answer or that we might attempt? Or maybe you could also answer those questions. Anybody? Yes, we have a question. And we have a mic. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for a wonderful explanation. As you said that Ajamila chanted the holy name once and this made him free from all sinful reactions. So as we hear or read that he was calling his son from the very beginning, Narayan, Narayan, he was calling him. And so what made him free from sinful reaction? The first time he chanted Narayana, or many times he chanted, or point of death when he chanted Narayana?
So you're asking which of his Narayana pronunciation was the one which gave him the lucky pot to be saved by the Vishnu Duttas, right? That's your question in a nutshell. Very good. That's a very good question actually, because every one of us is chanting Hare Krishna every day, correct? And which is the Hare Krishna which gave you the good fortune? Do you remember? Which one was it? Which mantra, which day, which mantra gave you that good luck of hitting the devotees? Offenseless. Perhaps one day when you were walking with a friend and you said, hey, here's the Hare Krishnas, jokingly, for example. That was so offensiveless. That had a great power. When someone on the streets just looks at you and says, Hare Krishna, that's so powerful. Because he's not thinking about it. He's just pronouncing it. His heart is just there. You know, someone comes and says, oh, Hare Krishna. He's just saying it without any consideration. So that's very innocent in a sense. Offenseless in a sense. So that's very powerful. That Namabha stage is very powerful. So when Ajamil was in a very desperate situation, and the only thing he had was his son, even though he didn't do it purely, he didn't do it for the purpose of Krishna, he did for the purpose of his son, but he said it in a very unoffensive way. In that moment, he was fully, you can say, unguarded of his ego. He just said, I'm going to die, and he says, Narayan, and he's calling out. And because it was the moment of death, the Bhagavad Gita says, whatever you think at that moment, that you reach. So because of that injunction and the combination of him saying offenselessly, he got it. Now be aware, Ajamil means it happened once and will never happen again. That's the meaning of the name Ajamil. Okay? So we shouldn't rely on that. Okay, so let me take a chance. I will do everything. In the last moment, I might put the names, if I'm married, of a child Narayana, or if not, I will just put the name of my mobile Narayana. Because today everybody's mobile conscious, have you noticed? Every time you touch in your pocket, is he here? You know? Have someone taken my mobile? Is my mobile, isn't it? We get so mobile conscious. Just imagine if you're as conscious of Krishna as we are mobile conscious. Isn't it? Take your mobile from you for a day and you, what am I going to do? Right? Isn't it? Today, everybody's in that situation. Yes, we are indeed. So, to be Krishna conscious is to be conscious of Krishna. So that's the ultimate goal of our society. So chanting the holy name with that mood of a child looking for his mother, Prabhupada said that. That is the mood which is going to make it. So every day we're chanting so many times. But how many times the mind is there, the mind is there, the mind is there. Just like a monkey, it's jumping from here to there, the mind is jumping. Especially if you're a manager, my God, japa becomes the managing time. Because the mind is giving all the solutions. It's, oh wait, that's a good idea, let me write it. Then you have to really control yourself. Isn't it? That's when all these solutions of the world comes to your mind. And it's so difficult to just say, stop now, this is Krishna and the holy name. That's what it is. So, thank you for your question, because it's a very important question. The question means, what is the moment, what makes the holy name effective in my life? And it's when I am actually desiring to meet Krishna. I want to meet Krishna. That is the central goal. And that is also the central goal of protection. When does protection take effect? When the child, a small child, is running around, she thinks she's very well, she's very good, then she finds some trouble there, and she comes running to the mother and says, Mommy! And then she hugs the mother. That's when protection is fully effective. The mother hugs the child and says, okay, I will protect you. What do you need? There's a very ugly person out there. No problem, I'll protect you from it. Don't worry, be with me. That's okay. Isn't it? When does protection take effect from a disciple? When you're alone, thinking, oh, I'll protect. Or when you go to your Guru Maharaj, says, Gurudev, I'm so sorry. I have this weakness. Please help me. You all have memories of that. And in that moment, the mercy of your Guru just floods your life and it's like everything is solved. Isn't it? So, that is the moment when our prayers to Krishna meets the goal. Confirm. Someone just confirmed. Ping. Isn't it? It meets the goal because we are praying and Krishna says, yes, he really wants it. So let me go there. Okay? So that's what the holy name means. Okay? Another question you may have? There is one there. You want here?
You told about protection is very sweet in the starting. So I couldn't understand you were saying that why protection is very sweet. You told something I couldn't understand.
Okay, you want to understand why protection is sweet. Protection is so sweet because the ultimate goal of protection is to give shelter of the jiva to Krishna. You see, if you look at the word kshatriya, it means to cause pain. You know, kshatriya, he can enforce pain. But the goal is not to cause pain. The goal is to give shelter. So the kshatriya is fully armed, but the essence is protection. When the kshatriya takes it wrongly and he starts to use his power to do something nonsense, for example, very recently, the United States said, hey, Iraq is doing something, let's go there and protect them. They just bombed the whole place and they destroyed completely because they were interested in the oil under Iraq. The goal was not protection. The goal was profit. So it was not sweet. On the contrary, it was very bitter. For the people of Iraq, for the American government, it was very bitter. They experienced a very, very hard failure in that endeavor. Very hard failure. Still Iraq is not under control. After so many years. It's a chaos. Because they use the power not for protection. So that was not protection. That was profit. But when you take the Bhagavad Gita, why is there a war? Millions are being killed. Protection of the human civilization. All those kings were very much equipped with very much power. So Krishna just said, okay, I create two enemies and one neutralizes the other. And the only reason that works is because what this verse is saying, there's one authority. He is guiding everyone. So he knows what he's doing. Just imagine if there was Krishna and someone with an equal power of Krishna. You never know. It's always ambiguous. And that's why Christianity enters into that level, because there's God and there is the dark side, the demon. So who is the most powerful? It's always they never know. But in our philosophy, there's no doubt. Krishna is a supreme controller. And everybody is actually but an actor in that control of Krishna. So the sweetness, just concluding, comes from a mother. Look at a mother. Isn't it sweet when she protects her child? When a guru is very heavy with a disciple, is he heavy really or is he sweet? He's very sweet. Because his intention is to purify the disciple. So protection is very sweet. Even though it may take some very strong forms. And we could say some pastimes you would like to hear, When the devotees, the Western devotees were building Vrindavan Dham, Sri Vrindavan Dham temple, they got cheated. And you see, the people could just trick them so easily. And Prabhupada would chastise them so heavily that many devotees didn't even want to be in the same room. They were so afraid. He never saw Srila Prabhupada so angry. He would just cut the heads of everyone who was in front of him. Nobody could pacify him because he was protecting them. But then you see the difference between protection and profit. The next moment, Srila Prabhupada was completely happy and forgot all about it. No bad feelings in the heart. You did this to me. I promise I'm going to vengeance. Never. His heart was, now you come and do this. So pure. So protection is very sweet. Yeah? Is that okay? Hare Krishna. You had something?
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for bringing this wonderful point. Protection brings sweetness. I had a similar type of question related to his point, that since you were the Minister of Cow Protection Agriculture,
Okay,
so how the cow protection and protection of Vedic agriculture system gives us sweetness? If you can.
Thank you for a beautiful question. I'll give you a brief answer, but actually I didn't go into that topic fully because that was the topic of the second class, right? When we look at this topic, Prabhupada introduced cow protection. Okay? We sometimes think of it as a little goshala at the back of the temple with a few cows. I go there once, twice, I give some little gur to the cows, I pat the cows, and I've done my cow protection, and that's what cow protection really is, right? I get some milk and I get some Mahabhoga offering, prasadam, Mahaprasadam offering, so finish, my cow protection is done. But actually, it's not like that. When we study the next canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, you will see that when the demons flourish, the first thing they destroy is cow protection. And if you look at Hiranyakashipu, in the 7th canto, the first chapter is just describing the demoniac nature In the second chapter, he just goes on how to see what the demons really like. They are fond of blood. And his instruction is go to wherever knowledge is being preached according to the Varnashram Dharma, and the cows and Brahmanas are being protected, and kill them. So when we fail to protect the cows, we fail to protect the Brahmans, then we fail to protect civilization. There's no sweetness. There's only bitterness. Old people in asylums because the children don't care for them. It's very bitter. Have you ever been with an old person which their children don't even visit them? Even if you come, they're so lonely. They'll talk to any stranger just to have a little bit of affection. They have money, have security from the governments, but when you look at their eyes, they're hungry. If you give them a word, they just melt. Thank you. How bitter that is. Now just compare to the joint family where the elderly were there in the middle of the family being taken care. The young children every morning go to their feet to take blessings, to take knowledge. How sweet that is. Isn't it? You just see how bitter and how sweet. This is protected, this is unprotected. So you kill the cows, and then by killing the cows, and that's a point which we might speak on the next class, Prabhupada says, what is the word? Tum, 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 bang, bang, bang. That's what he says in the class. That's how he says. So there's a whole connection between protecting the cows, protecting the Brahmans. Namo Brahmana Hitai. What is the verse? Devaya. Again? From the beginning? Can we all say that verse? So that's our mission. And in the next class, I will give you a further elaboration of this, just to keep you hooked for the next class. Yes, I have prepared something about cow protection and about activities we have been developing and the importance in our mission of that. Yeah, and you have a very important center here because it's an urban center, but you're protecting the cows, and that has a very deep significance. Very deep significance. If it's properly done, it's a great source of attraction. People will come from many places just to see that system in place. And we can talk a little bit about that. Okay, so I'd like to thank you all very, very much for your kind attention. I do apologize if I did say something inadequate, and please, I'm open for correction if needed. And I thank you all very, very much. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.